because I would get killed if I didn't. Okay, so we are now recording, and my name is Linda McGuire, and I live in Bristow, Virginia, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C., and I am super excited to bring you guys the information on organization, time management, and objections. So we are probably not going to be able to get a ton of questions in because there's so much, but I will be here afterwards if you just want to hang out and ask questions to me after the time frame, because I definitely don't want to keep you on too long. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if people join us later, that's great. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint. And there we go. Can everybody see the PowerPoint? Someone give me a thumbs up. Awesome. Okay. So I can see you guys on the right-hand side. So if I start looking over here, don't think that I've lost my mind. All right. So again, I am Linda McGuire, and I am presenting your week 5. And as we've been doing over the last few weeks, we have been doing a little recap, what it takes to be a director. You need belief that you can do it. You have to have bookings no matter what. This is the lifeline of our business. When you get those bookings, you have to know how to make them great parties by host coaching. And in order to be a director, we have to learn how to recruit. And then what do we do with those recruits when we get them? So that is where some of the organization and time management and everything else comes into play. So that's what we've gone over the last 4 weeks. Anybody have any questions before we get started? Anybody have any potential leads that they got this past week? Oh, yep. You have one, Jessica? Yep, she's eating. Are you going to share? Okay.
Yes. So I had 2 really strong leads for May, and we were trying to get that, those double points for Disney. But I did sign one more in May. But I have another one, so we're trying to figure out the financial piece of it for her to get her kit. That hopefully she's going to sign this month. So we couldn't pull it in the last week of May, so hopefully going for this week.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's fantastic. All right. Anybody else have anything that they would like to share from last week? Cheryl?
I was talking to one of my friends and telling her why I couldn't go to a funeral. Anyways, started talking about Pampered Chef, and she said, she said something about that she wanted to, she was looking into becoming one. So I was like, okay. So I was talking to her, I gave her some information, and now she's going to come to our meeting on Tuesday to see.
That's awesome. Great job, Cheryl. That's so good. And that always gets us excited. Your first recruit is always the one you never forget. I remember mine from 24 years ago. Her name is Helen DeFlorio, and the crazy thing is she's still with me. Yes, she quit about maybe 6-7 years ago, and she just came back about maybe 2 years ago. So, you just never forget your first one. That's kind of bad to say, right? Different reference there. Okay, let's moving on. Okay. All right, so today we're going to discuss organization, calendar management, booking, recruiting, objections, because you're going to get pushback. You're going to get people. All right, now I am going to fly through some of these slides because some of them are going to be pretty self-explanatory and some are going to need a lot of explanation. So what we're going to cover today Under the organizational systems, systems are literally what can make or break you in a business like this. And how you run those systems or don't run them will really dictate how successful you can be. And I've got lots of examples to show of how one simple system has totally changed my entire business. So calendars, so we're going to talk about calendars, task lists, tickler files, etc. We're going to talk about electronic management versus binders. We're going to talk about booking, recruiting, lead logs. We're going to talk about goals and daily affirmations, which I am a huge believer in goal setting. I am a numbers girl all day long. Power hour and what's called a Pomodoro, and then business in a bag. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. So the first thing we're going to talk about are calendars. Now, we all know what a calendar is. And you just kind of have to figure out what is your calendar method? What rocks your world? I will tell you that I am, oh, and my phone is plugged in because it was dead. I will tell you that I am a computer calendar girl, but that calendar also swaps over to my phone, and I'm going to be sharing it in just a minute. I have tried over and over and over again to be a paper calendar girl. And you're going to really just laugh at me because everything else in my life is on paper except for my calendar. And I know that's kind of crazy, but I've tried so hard to be a paper calendar girl too, because there's some really pretty calendars out there and I'd really love to have one, but I just don't use it. And every time I buy a really pretty calendar in December, I do like really good for like the first couple of weeks of January and then I suck. So I just quit. I've done what works for me is my cozy calendar. So, but if you like using paper calendars, there are a number of, I know, very, very, very successful leaders out there that love the Erin Condren Life Planner, the Daytimer, the Franklin Covey Planner, or even I know if you are on Tiffany's team, I know she even makes her own calendar, which is kind of pretty savvy. You have a great leader like that. So depending on what kind of person you are will depend on what kind of calendar you enjoy using. But it doesn't matter what calendar you're using if you don't use it. And if you don't write everything down in your calendar. So this was kind of shared with you guys before, and this is what a smartphone calendar might look like. So this consultant had a show. Dee Dee's on the 7th, and then Arian is on the 8th, and then she has all these days open, and then Linda is on the 12th, and Jennifer is on the 13th, and then she has all these dates open. Now, if I don't know if these are virtual parties or live parties or what kind of parties, but the cool thing is the way they're using it is if you look over here to the right, where it says Arian is over here on the 8th, they've just expanded it and then been able to put in notes down here. So her address, her email, her phone number, what kind of party she's doing, and who she booked from. And those are all really good ways of keeping that organized. Okay? Now, this is just a screenshot of my cozy calendar. And I just realized I see this every day, and it seems like 2 boys up here and my dog. And my son is now 21 years old. I think it's time to update the picture on the calendar. Because he was in 9th grade there, and now he's 21, and he is going to be a senior in college. So it's time to update that picture. All right, so I am a cozy calendar user, and I am also a virtual party consultant who does an occasional and I do an occasional cooking party. So the cool thing I like about this is I can color code them. If you'll notice, Linda, PJ, Caleb, Aiden, those are my family, and they can be color coded. So if I had picked on PJ, everything that was related to PJ would pop up. But this is just a screenshot. I didn't want to share my screen because that takes a little bit longer. But as you notice here, I do all of my virtual parties. I start them all on Friday, so you can see all the virtual parties that I do. And I start them all on Friday. Just a gizmo. It took a little while, and this is actually my first time to ever have, and actually I just added one more to the 14th. I've never done 9 parties in a day. That's going to blow my mind. Yeah. But this is how I set up my, I didn't mean to do that. This is how I set up my calendar so that I keep up with, and I just recently started because I kept forgetting, I was getting all these bookings and I kept forgetting who they were booking from. So this is now Michelle Vance booked from Lauren Beach, and this just reminds me who they booked from. And then my cooking shows are here. So I actually have 4 cooking parties this month, which is kind of crazy. But I do. I have, I have one on the 13th, but when I took this screenshot, she wasn't on there yet. So I have one on the 13th, the 20th, the 27th, and on the 28th. And I try to keep my, when my husband's out of town, when my husband's in town, because my husband lives in Seattle right now. So I try to keep a little bit of family stuff intermixed with things. I do not put my daily task on here because I want to kind of keep this clean and not cluttered with all my little daily tasks, and I'll show you in a little bit how I take care of that. So that brings us to our task list. I'm going to pause for just 1 second before we move on to the next topic. Is there any questions right now about calendars? Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
have to pay for Cozy?
Yes, you do. It is $59 for an entire year. So it's like $5 a month, right? Isn't that what that comes out to?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I love it. Tiffany introduced me to it, obviously, back when my son was in 9th grade. So it's been a long time. That's how long I've known Tiffany a while. But she introduced me to the Cozy Calendar, and you can view it on your phone. And so when I go to my parties, I just pull up my Cozy Calendar on my phone too. And another cool thing is I use the grocery list on my phone. So the grocery list is also in Cozy Calendar. Let me go back, I'll show you that really quick. So there's shopping, and then there's a calendar, and then there's a to-do list. And they also have meals, like recipes. Like if you're at the grocery store, you can click on the meals tab and there's recipes in there. Birthdays, contacts. You can also, when my children were younger and they were on ball teams or involved in school, a lot of school sports and stuff, you can take your URL from your school and connect it into Cozy. And that will put in all of the school activities that are on the school calendar. That will dump them into Cozy too. So I'm sure that probably Google does that as well, the Google Calendar. I don't know because I don't use the Google Calendar. But I do know that that's what Cozy does as well. So there's a lot of cool things that they do. Any other questions about a calendar? Okay, moving right along. Now we're going to talk about a task list. And this is when you're going to realize how old I am and how archaic I am. But I do try to do a brain dump every night before I go to bed. And whether I'm sitting in front of what my dad would call the boob tube, in front of the TV, before I go to bed, I always have, and I don't know if you can see my picture here, but I always have my spiral notebook. I am a spiral notebook junkie. The prettier the spiral notebook, the better. But I also always love getting a new spiral notebook when the old spiral notebook is totally full. It's just such a cleansing thing for me. I know it's weird, but it's just a very cool thing for me. So I always sit down and I always write my task list. So this is my task list, and it may look incredibly overwhelming to some of you, but what happens is as I mark things off my list, I will make a new task list tonight when I go to bed, and I'll just start a whole new list, and I'll move everything over from today that I didn't get to do today, and I'll put them on the list tomorrow. And then my very good friend, Bobby Como, who is on this call, taught me about Pomodoros. And I'll be showing you that in just a few minutes, because then I take that task list and I assign little chunks of time to each task. And that's pretty much the limit, do the top things to do each day. And that's what I do at the very beginning of my morning. And then I am not a big app person, but obviously someone has given a suggestion of apps called a to-do list. I don't know what it is, but anyway, if you're interested in that, you can look it up. All right, a tickler file or an index box. So do something similar to that in how I keep up with my hostesses. And I was a lot more diligent in doing this when I was doing cooking shows. Now that I'm doing virtual parties, I'm finding that I'm doing my my host information a tad bit differently. I have kind of switched over from being 90% cooking for the last 24 years to this year being probably about 75% virtual and 25% cooking. So I'm telling you, I haven't quite gotten down my organization of how to keep up with my hostesses yet at this point, because it's just become a huge change for me. But if you are doing cooking shows, I love the tickler box for how I keep up with my hostesses. So I'm going to stop here. So I use, and you might, if you want to put it on speaker view and you'll just see me, you might be able to see a nice bigger picture of this versus if you are still in gallery view. So if you hit the top right button where it says speaker view, you might be able to see me better. Okay, so this is just a little recipe box, just a cheapie from Target. And then you do purchase little files, and I bought little generic ones, and I wrote January through May. If you're really super anal, you can do 1 through 31, and then put 1 through 31 behind May. And then you'll take those 1 through 31s after May is over, and you'll put them behind June. And so that literally is your daily task. So you would pull out everything that's behind the 10th of June and go, okay, today's the 10th of June. I'm now going to do these items. Okay, does that make sense? Nod. Perfect. Okay. And then I have some, so I only do January through December. I have a follow-up tab, and then I have a send recipes to the party tab. I have a completed party tab, and I have my customer care tabs in there. And then at the very front, so this is how I do it. So my June would be behind June. They're actually down here on my desk because I was looking at them earlier today. Excuse me. So here are my June cards, okay? I use pretty color ones because I want it to be colorful, all right? If I book a party for July, then it obviously goes behind July. If I meet people that say, oh, I really would like to do a party, but I don't want to do it till September, I would put it behind August. If I book parties and they reschedule and I need to reschedule them, or they have not booked a month that they might be interested in, they go in the very front. So when I am always in need, which lately have not had the problem with all these virtual parties, but I have my little standbys. Look at this. Always having contacts this is what I call my fish in my pond. You know, if you're going to go fishing, you don't want to have just a couple of fish in your pond. You want to have an entire pond full so that someone is going to bite out of all of these cards. But if you only have a couple and those fish aren't hungry, you're not going to get any bookings, okay? So I put those in the front. So when I am needing to go fishing, then I know I have a little pile here to fish with. So does that make sense? Okie dokie. So we're going to go back to our file. Any questions about tickler systems, file boxes, anything like that? Put each task or lead on a card, which is what I did, and I'll just show you a quick version of that. So these are old cards, and I have this is why the virtual parties go so fast. It's not even been worth it to me to fill out a card anymore. So anyway, I'm not really doing them anymore for virtual parties. I'm trying to come up with a new system. But for my cooking shows, I just make, put their name, their address, their phone number, their email, who they booked from, what kind of theme they want. Did I set up their Facebook event? Did I give them a packet? And so forth and so on. A lot of people will put their prize drawing slips in a certain day or week if they're going to use those to follow up on. And then if you're going to use the number system, the 1 through 31, you're just, as I said, you're going to pull out what's behind the number. Okay. Steps to organization. Oh, Lord, I am not the person to be, if you could see my desk right now, you would not say, why is this lady presenting this topic? But my desk does not look like the guy in the picture, I can tell you that right now. Eliminate, automate, delegate, duplicate. So the best thing that I ever did in my office was I put it in the front room of my house. So my office is actually my living room. And I turned my living room, which was being unused, and I turned it into my office. It is the very first room. If someone walks into my house, it's the very first room that they see. So I have to be very diligent about straightening up my office, and that I don't have you can see my stairs right here that go up to my second store is right behind me here. And I have a credenza here behind me, and then my desk. And then I have a beautiful bay window that I can look out of every day. So that just makes me happy because I can see the sun and the trees, and when it snows, I'm watching the snow, and when the leaves are orange, it's just gorgeous. So you have to really like where you're looking, where you're working. So you have to get rid of things. You're going to have to automate things, delegate things, and duplicate things. So eliminate, and that is eliminating things that are not so broad, that are just not useful. If I'm trying to think of an example of eliminating. Well, that's more like delegating. So I don't like to stamp catalogs. I don't like to make host packets. So I get my boys. I wish I had a girl in my family, because girls will do this kind of stuff. Boys don't. But I do make my boys stamp all of my catalogs. When my boy got old enough and he had a girlfriend, I hired his girlfriend to stamp catalogs, make host packets, put my expenses in. That's the delegating part. Automated part are, if you have a day of the month that you always do the same thing. So it's automatic for me on the first day of the month. Obviously, we're always downloading the pictures of the recruiting specials, making sure you have everything for host packets for that month, whatever that day of the week is going to be, that you are going to organize and put together your host packets, which means before you put together your host packets, you have to make sure that you have your host specials printed out and your order forms printed out, and you have enough catalogs, and those catalogs are stamped. And all of that is like silly stuff that should just be automatic, that you should just automatically do every single month. So I'm really good on delegating things that I don't like to do, because that does not make me happy in my job. So I try to delegate as much stuff, and I try to automate as much stuff. Automating would be if you were going to the post office to do packets all the time, maybe having a stamper. The little stamp machine that the U.S. Postal Service sells, you can actually do that. Or maybe going ahead and buying, if you do priority mail envelopes, go ahead and buy the priority mail envelopes, buy the priority mail stamp, have that automatic, and then you don't have to go to the post office all the time. So those are just some ideas of things to eliminate, automate, delegate, and I could probably go on for days on things to do that with. One of the things that, hang on, I told you it's a lot of talking. Business in a bag. Does anyone in here have a business in the bag? Do I have a business in a bag? Speaking once. All right, I'm going to show you my business in a bag. So I love this little bag, and I used to carry it in my car all the time, and I stopped, and I don't know why. But it was so stinking cute. I'm gonna stop sharing. Because if any of you ever want a gift, tell your director. But it says PC Office on the Go. Isn't that too cute? It's got little things over here that I used to have my business cards in here. And actually what happened was I cleaned out my car the other day, and I brought it in and I cleaned it out because it was getting really nasty. There was all kinds of crap in the bottom. So I cleaned it all out, and I just haven't filled it back up to take it back into my car. But do you ever get out and you don't have any catalogs with you? Shame on you. Put them in your business in a bag. Keep your minis in there. Keep host packets in there. I know I have been out and been the world's worst consultant and had no information whatsoever in my car because it was in my bag and my bag was in my house. So be smart about how you carry your bag. So this is just a bag I would keep in the back of my car. The other thing that you can do is use your purse as your business in a bag. This is a super cute little catalog tote here that they sell and supply that you can put a catalog in the front and keep all of your pursey kind of things in there. Your calendar, packets, sticky notes, pens, things like that. But if you can have something on your body that you are in your car that you're carrying that could always keep things there. If I am out of this phase where I don't have to go and sit and wait at a baseball practice or a football practice or a swim practice, thank goodness I'm out of that phase. But I know that many of you are still in that phase. So if you're sitting at swim team, take that bag with you. Work on, maybe host packets. Work on writing thank you notes. People love a handwritten note. Work on writing those things and have all that in your bag and be able to do that while you're sitting in carpool line or you're sitting at the pool or whatever. And then people might even ask you, hey, what are you working on? And then that's an opener for them. All right, any questions about business in a bag? All right, we're moving along. Organizing your week. Oh, if I could only get this together as well too. All right. If you can get your act together and write down everything on your weekly calendar of things that you're going to do every single Monday, every single Tuesday, every single Wednesday, et cetera, et cetera. I'm doing this for my virtual parties. And I have a system now, and I think all of you do too. If you're doing virtual parties, I know your director has a system to follow. As an example, for my virtual parties, my system is Mondays, I'm setting up on Facebook all of my virtual parties for the week. Tuesday, we start them, and then I continue on with my virtual party system. The Friday before my parties are going to start, I am reaching out to those week's parties to make sure we're still on for the next week. So that has now become ingrained in my brain that I am making sure all that is done. Now, that is something that is routine, that is duplicatable, that I duplicate it every single week. The first Monday of the month, I always love personal business on Monday because you probably had a fun weekend. Maybe you did parties over the weekend. That's personal business. And you need to recap, write down the bookings that you got over the weekend, maybe close up parties that you did over the weekend. I like to kind of take my shows that I did, if I did them like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I like to kind of organize everybody that I met and my bookings and what I need to do for those parties on that Monday. Another thing that I like to do the very first week of the month is I put my expenses from the previous month into the tracker system on Consultants Corner. Now, if you don't use that and you have questions about it, I'd be happy to teach you how to use that. But it's the income and expense report. Some of you guys may use Quicken, you may use Excel spreadsheet, you may use whatever, but I use and have used for many years the income and expense report on Pampered Chef. So this is just a simple way of understanding that if you, I mean, I think it's pretty broad to say, talk about it Thursday, emails, correspondence, and calls. Look, you should be looking at your emails every single day to clean out your inbox and not let them all pile up. If your emails are only done on Thursday, then those are special kind of emails. Maybe those are emails out that you would send thank you messages, or maybe you send recipes to your guest who purchase items from a party. Just try to get as specific as you can, and don't be so general, because if you're general, then you don't have a plan. And if you sit down on Wednesday and it's wow time, then if you don't that's pretty specific, right? I know I'm going to send wows to my host. I'm going to put them on their Facebook events and things like that. Just try to be as specific as you can. All right, moving right along. Holy crap. Told y'all this is a lot of stuff. Binder system. Bookings binder, recruiting binder, recipe binder, blah, blah, blah. Binder for everything. If you're a binder kind of person, I do like a binder. I have one binder. I do not have 10 binders. I have one binder, and that binder is mainly for my training. And I use that to train my new consultants, and I use that to train the ones that I'm coaching if they're in a system like 6 Weeks to Success or Director Bound. So that is what I use my binder for. If you have any questions about using a binder system, just reach out and ask, and I'd be happy to help you with that. I do use a expandable file, and I do want to share that with you because I kind of like it. I meant to bring it over here. I was putting some host packets together yesterday, so it was on my dining room table. But I use this accordion, and this is literally what I put all of my host information in. All of my host information. And right now it's not in the folders because it's all laying on my dining room table. But I put the host special for the month. I put the party planner that I have printed off instead of using the folders that Pampered Chef provides. It's cheaper to use the party planner sheet. If you don't know what I'm talking about, message me and I'll give it to you. I'll show you where to find it. Actually, this is what it looks like right here. I have something in there. This right here. So you can actually print those off and not use the folders. But I put my specials of the month, only one. I put the order forms because I do send my host 2 order forms. I have a form that's Q&A on frequently asked questions about becoming a consultant that I put in all my host packets. That goes in here. The little Join Us booklet goes in here. My bags, the bags that I use, they're not in here right now because they're laying on my dining room table, go in here. But everything that I need to do a host packet goes in here. So when I'm ready to go do host packets, guess what? I just pick up this little accordion binder and I take it to my dining room. Or I take up this little accordion binder and I go into the family room while I'm watching American Idol. And I do host packets while I'm watching television. Okay? So now y'all figured out what my taste is in shows. Okay. All right. Moving along. Oh, okay, I am, when I got to this part, if Bobby or Christina wants to jump in on this, you guys can, because I am not an Evernote girl, and I know if you are on Tiffany's team, you are probably an Evernote girl, but she has probably taught you how to be an Evernote girl. But Evernote is essentially just electronic binders and files. That's all it is. I like it to save things that Tiffany sends me. That's about all I use it for. I do have a recipe box in there that has some recipes and stuff in it, but when you've been in this business as long as I have, there are some things that are just routine that I just continue to do, and changing over to Evernote has just not been high on my priority list. Any comments?
I'll say this because I am on Tiffany's team. There is a lot, like I'm getting used to the Evernote thing because she does send a lot. Like if you need something, Tiffany has it and it's in Evernote. So that's the only way you're getting anything from Tiffany is from Evernote. So I have learned to accommodate myself, but I am very much old school as well. So I do have one binder that is my training binder that I keep like all my director bound or even from like my new consultant training, I have all that in there that I can always go back through. But I'm a mix of both. Like,
and we're actually and
it's mobile. Like
it is mobile. It is. It's nice. And don't get me wrong. I think Evernote is genius because you can pull things off of it wherever you are. One thing that our teams are moving to is using units, learning units in our Facebook groups. And that's kind of a way of like Evernote, but in your Facebook group. Mm-hmm. You know, it's electronic files. And then everybody can have access to it at any time. So I really like that aspect of it. Okay, lead logs. I will tell you that if you're a simple binder girl, keeping up with recruit leads, I have one that's just like this that says future shows and one that says future team members. And I keep them in a spiral notebook. I don't put my shows in here because I put them in my box, but I do have a spiral notebook that I use more for my recruit leads, and each recruit lead is a single piece of paper. And every time that I get a recruit lead, I write their name at the top of the paper, where I met them, how I reached out to them, what they said, and then when I'm doing look and learns, it's really cool to go back to that lead spiral notebook and go, oh, so-and-so was on a look and learn like 3 months ago. Maybe I'll add her to another one, invite her to another one. So, all right, we're moving along. Oh, Lord, cooking show tips. These are ways to stay organized in your cooking shows. Do the same recipe all month long. I can't say that I do that, but I do probably like the same 5 recipes all year long. Make host packets in bulk. I've already talked about that. Door prizes in a zipper bag. That's the little prize drawing slips. Keep them all in that with pens and things like that. Label your catalogs and stamp receipts in bulk. I've already talked about that. Consider host coaching Facebook group or video. And I do have videos that I have for my hostesses that I do my host coaching in, especially now with virtual parties. I send all my virtual party hosts a welcome to, and I introduce myself and tell them kind of what to expect of the party. And then, as I said, hire a helper as a relative as a helper. All right, virtual party tips. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. This is a whole nother entire training topic. There is so much on this, but templates. Your templates are going to be through ScentShare, Visly, which I don't use, and Post My Party, which I do not use. I am a ScentShare girl. And I share my templates in my Facebook group. And you just need to speak to your director about templates for virtual parties if you are doing them. Prizes ready to mail. So I have a box that has little small envelopes that I just actually ordered. Oh, the box is over there in an Amazon box. I got so tired of going to Staples and buying little small envelopes to put Season's Best Recipe cookbooks in. I am on direct ship, so I can't add gifts to my guest cart. I'm on direct ship, so I have to ship out my prizes. So I bought from Amazon, super cheap, those little 5x7 envelopes, and I put a Season's Best in those, and those are ready, and they're all in a box, and they're ready to go. Ways to tally points for games. Oh, this is so personalized. I do a spiral notebook. Others put it on one sheet of paper. A whole nother ballgame.
Can I ask a quick question on that?
Sure.
Do you actually keep track?
I do. I know. And there are people who will not, but I will tell you, I am such a stickler that I don't want anybody to come back and go, well, wait a minute, how did we know who, you've been saying we earned points for this and points for that, and so I don't want any question whatsoever. So I do keep tally, and I show them, and I have I go live in my party, and I say, here's one right here. I just went live the other day. No, wrong one. I said, here it is right here, literally, and I do it the old-fashioned way. Here's my names, and there's all their tally points, and I assign them a number system. And so, like, my first person spent $115 and got a buttload of participation points, and so her number range was 1 to 335. And then I do something called random number generator, and I show them that these are the numbers, and then I hit the number, and it comes up with a number, and I go, oh, yay, so-and-so fell in between blah, 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 and Melinda's the winner. And it's all on the up and up, and nobody can question me, but I'd really love to give Debbie the beat because she gave the most participation.
Gotcha.
So,
Just wondering.
yeah. Host coaching group with templates for post. That's been pretty detailed over the last few months. If you are in a group that's doing templates for virtual parties, pictures and content. Yeah, I'd love to have my pictures organized. They're kind of organized, but they really need to clean out. So clean out old pictures that have old Pampered Chef products that you should not be posting anything like that on. Power Hour. This is something that you may have heard of in the past. You're going to spend 15 minutes each day on bookings, 15 minutes on recruit leads, 15 minutes on host coaching, and 15 minutes on customer care. 1 hour every week is only 5 hours on your business. And that can do amazing things, but you have to set aside the hour. And it may be in 15-minute increments, like 15 minutes before you leave for work, or 15 minutes before the kids wake up, or 15 minutes after they go to bed, or whatever that 15-minute time frame is. Pomodoros is something I mentioned early on. It's something that Bobby taught me. It is 25 minutes of work and take a 5-minute break. And I've found this new thing on my computer called, it's not Coronado. I can't remember her name. It's kind of like Siri on an HP. But you say, hey, set the timer for 25 minutes. And she sets the timer for 25 minutes, and I'm sitting here working, and then it goes off, and I'm like, dang, that was already 25 minutes. But then it forces you, go pee, go do something, go eat, and then come back and do 25 more minutes. So and that's what I do now on my task list. I take my task list and I put it in, how many things do I think I can get done in 25 minutes? And so I'll make an A, a B, a C, a D, an E, and I'll write them out, and I'll put the times beside them as well. Okay, this is what I don't understand. Why is objections in this? Because we don't have time for objections, and it has nothing to do with organization. But what are they really? This is when someone says no, or no, not right now. You kind of have to figure out the why. And I did want to share something with you guys tonight, that I want to just show you a perfect example of how to handle objection. And I'm going to do that, and I can only do that by sharing my screen and sharing a conversation of a host. So in my virtual party world, I do what's called a host challenge. So I don't know my guests. How many of you do virtual parties? Cheryl, you do virtual parties? Jessica? Erica, do you do virtual parties? Is Erica there? Oh, no. I called her out and now she's gone. Okay, so Erica's maybe in the bathroom. All right, so anyway, I do virtual parties, but I want to show you a typical no thank you, right? And then how do you handle a no, not right now? This is my favorite saying. So we have a system where we have our host put me and the host and a guest in a three-way chat. And it's called a host challenge. And I send my host what to say. And this is my host, Desiree. And she sent something to Nicole and put me and Nicole and Desiree in a three-way chat. So she asked Desiree about doing a party. Nicole says, not right now. Okay? You hear not right now a lot, don't you? Okay. So your question is, what does that really mean? That's why I hate the word maybe, right? What does maybe mean? All right. This is no, not right now. Desiree answers her by saying that's cool. Well, Desiree's not the consultant. I am. So this is my response to her. Hey, Nicole, thanks so much for responding. We really appreciate that. I always just like to ask, is that a no, not now, but definitely later? Or no, not really. I'm not the hosting kind of gal. LOL. It's okay if you're not. Now, does that sound pushy? All I have said is that no, but maybe later, or no, I'm just not the hosting kind of gal. And she says, I'm not really a hosting kind of gal. And I just recognized that. And I said, no problem. This is the part in objections where you're restating what they say. I am okay with, says no problem. I am okay with that. I don't want folks to tell me they will think about it and they really don't want to. So I give you an out, LOL. This is for you. And if you really don't want to, then that is totally fine. Hope you are enjoying the party and find some great products you will want in your kitchen. I did not buck her about saying I'm not a hosting kind of gal, right? I just justified why I asked. Then get this. This is when you find out what people are really thinking. I'm just not good at that stuff. My friends don't buy anything when I hold parties, and I've attempted to sell Mary Kay 4 times without success and wasting more than earning. I'll see if anyone would be interested. If I get some interest, I'll let you know and do one for you. Well, first of all, it's not for me, right? So I respond to that and give her a little bit more information to go on. Oh, thanks. That's so super sweet. You know, PC usually has a great following. Remember, everyone eats. I've done 40 parties in the last 4 months, and every single party is qualified. Most parties are all over $400. They're quite different. Everyone loves getting recipes, right? Get this. I can do one, not this coming week, but the week after 17th. I did not twist her arm, did I? I gave her information to make an educated decision. And then come to find out she wanted the 14th, which was like, oh, really? I can't do the 14th. But okay, I'll add one more party to my calendar. All right, so the last couple of slides, does anybody have a question about how I handled that?
Hold on. Me.
Okay.
Can you post those words somewhere?
I sure can. I sure can. Because I know that's the key is how do you say it without sounding like you're a right? You want to know like and I really truly believe that it's so non-controversial when you just say I'm not the hosting kind of gal. It just kind of gives them the out. And that's a little bit easier for them to say, no, I'm just not the hosting kind of gal. So then don't tell me that right now. Just tell me no. But people don't know how to tell you no. They don't want to hurt your feelings because we're made of glass, right? Okay. Next slide. So we're gonna move a little bit along here from current slide. Oh, this is fluff. Positive outlook. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. So that's kind of how I handle them. That if you really want to do it, just let me know you really want to do it. If you don't, just tell me no. I'm good. I'm confident enough to be able to take no. And that's what the place that you have to become in your life is. You have to be confident enough to be able to take no. So you've learned some great skills over the past 5 weeks. How do we put it into action? Some people will just walk through life. They talk, 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 and the life is over. Some people will walk through life and they walk, 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 and arrive at their destination. I think that's a pretty cool one. So our last pillar is will, the skill and the will. All the will in the world won't help you if you don't, all the skill in the world will not help you if you don't have the will. That's the word decide. Did anybody join the Belinda Ellsworth thing last night, on Wednesday night? She opened up her entire talk about, it doesn't matter if you're here if you don't decide to do it. And the word decide is you have to make a decision on what you want to do in your life. I can't make you work. I can't call your host. I can't follow up with recruit leads. I can't book your parties. I can't play with your tools. I can't earn you a trip. I can't be punctual and prompt. Can't make you punctual and prompt. I can't share the business with everyone, but I can smile at everyone. But you can if you will. So that's that whole decision. You got to make a decision. It's all up to you and your will. This is all fluff. This is, that motivational stuff that we need to kick us in the butt sometimes. So at the end, what do you need to stop doing? What do you need to start doing? And what do you need to continue doing that's working well for you? This is something I would suggest that you ask yourself about once every 6 months. What do I need to stop doing that's not working? What do I need to do that's different? And learn from somebody else that's working for them. And the best advice I can give you is to reach out to someone that's doing it right and talk to them about what they do. Because if you don't, you are leaving money on the table if you do not reach out. That is the only way I have gotten where I am over the last 6 months with virtual parties, is reaching out to people who are doing it, amazing at it, and figuring out how to do it. That's the only way I've done it. So your homework. I am going to be posting individually the coffee talk, the Steve Dabrowski coffee talk, which he's the superhero guy on virtual parties. There's a little motivational Judy Joel video. It's more about, it came from a lead program, so you're going to hear them talking a little bit about meeting these director numbers. So the first 10 minutes of the video is about motivating the directors to reach a goal. But the rest of the video is really good. It's about making decisions to do your job. Implement ways to overcome objections. That's going to be a flyer that I will upload. You're going to report new bookings, recruit leads. You're going to fill out your form like you always do. Okie dokie. Where the magic happens. Outside of your comfort zone. Outside of your comfort zone. All right, that's it. Girls. There's no guys on here, right? Nope. Okay. So, any questions? I know I'm parched. I feel like my heart rate, I wish I would have had my Fitbit on. My heart rate's probably been 120. Yeah, that's a lot of information. And guess what? I get to do it next week again for 6 weeks. I don't want to do this one again. Cheryl, did you have a question? Nope. Jessica, Erica?
No, I really enjoyed this week. As much as me and Tiffany were a lot alike, because I'm very OCD, but it's I'm also very busy. I clearly have a 3-year-old, so it's and I work full time. So it's always finding the time, and I always tell Tiffany I just need to sit down and get everything in a row and then keep up with it.
Well, girl, kudos to you for being on the call.
Yeah.
Kudos to you.
I try.
I mean, I love it. And, those kind of decisions, that's a decision that you made. I mean, we have to make decisions every single day in our business. I'm going to stop recording.